Well, we have new fallout tonight from the recount efforts sweeping a handful of battleground states. It started last week with Green Party candidate Jill Stein demanding a recount in the state of Wisconsin. The Clinton campaign then announced on Saturday it would be joining that effort as her demands, Jill Stein's, for recounts then spread to Michigan and Pennsylvania. Critics, including the president-elect, have slammed the whole thing as, quote, a scam to raise money by Ms. Stein. And then Mr. Trump took it a step further by alleging that he actually won the popular vote, which he lost to Hillary Clinton, that he actually won it, he now claims, because of millions of people who he claims actually voted illegally. Carl Cameron has the latest details on this entire mess. Carl?
Thanks, Megyn. Though few think it's going to make any kind of a difference, it looks like there will at least be one recount, and it might be in Wisconsin. First, Michigan, though. The State Board of Canvassers finally certified Trump's victory by more than 10,000 votes this afternoon. Green Party candidate Jill Stein has until Wednesday to file for a Michigan recount. If approved, Trump gets 7 days to object and contest it. Now back to Wisconsin. Election commissioners rejected Stein's request for a hand recount today. Instead, they said local clerks will get to decide how best to recount starting this coming Thursday. And they have to be finished by December 13th. Stein filed for a Pennsylvania recount this afternoon, too, but because the deadline is today and the requirements for approval are so difficult, she petitioned the court for more time. It actually requires affidavits from at least 3 voters in each of Pennsylvania's more than 9,000 voting precincts, and the process requires a notary to stamp the affidavit, which then has to be delivered to the county clerk's office for final certification. Hillary Clinton's campaign joined the recount effort over the course of this weekend, saying it wasn't to overturn Trump's win, but to make sure a fair process is preserved for all the parties. Trump tweeted up a storm this weekend and without any evidence alleged widespread voter fraud. In one tweet he said, quote, in addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. He also tweeted, serious voter fraud in Virginia, New Hampshire, and California, so why isn't the media reporting on this? Serious bias. Big problem. Election officials in those 3 states where Democrats are in charge have denied any widespread vote fraud, and they've criticized Trump's tweets as inappropriate and ill-informed. Megyn?
Carl, thank you. Joining me now with more, former Trump campaign national spokesperson Katrina Pierson and Fox News contributor and founding executive director of Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Service, Mo Elleithee. Great to see you both. So, Katrina, let me start with you. What is the problem with Jill Stein asking for a recount in these states?
Well, Megyn, there isn't a problem, except for Jill Stein was nowhere close to even winning in any of these states, and recounts are not uncommon. It's just quite odd at the timing of all this as well, and the fact that Hillary Clinton, someone who said, you know, we really should accept the election results, and the media for nearly a week criticized Donald Trump for saying we'll have to wait and see until the election comes. So I think it's real sinister what's happening here, not to mention that Clinton donors are the one piling money into Jill Stein's coffers. I think it's all suspect.
What about that, Mo? Because Hillary Clinton told Chris Wallace at the Fox News at the debate that he hosted that it was horrible, that Donald Trump's refusal to say that he would accept the outcome of the election was horrible, and she was just disgusted by it. And now she's like, oh, we'll participate. We'd like to see about that recount, too.
Well, that's not exactly what she's saying, right? I mean, she conceded the election. Her campaign has said, we don't think we're going to overturn. We don't think this election will get overturned. They said Donald Trump will be the president come January 20th. And they've said that they did their own due diligence over the past few weeks amid reports that there might have been some sort of interference. And they did not find any actionable evidence of any sort of widespread voter fraud. But if someone else is going to put forward this recount, they're going to have lawyers in the room. They'd be stupid not to, frankly, right? They would be stupid not to have lawyers in the room just to monitor the process. But here's what I don't understand.
Why even put a lawyer there? If they go through the process and something interesting happens, like somehow miraculously Jill Stein actually won Wisconsin, then she can go send her lawyers to look at it herself, can't she?
That's not going to happen. They're not putting any money into this. They're just going to have a lawyer in the room, and I think that would be, I think that's prudent and it makes sense. What does not make sense.
I don't know, Mo.
What
you can see why Team Trump is a little suspicious of Hillary Clinton's hand in this.
Yeah, of course they're going to be suspicious. But I personally just think there's nothing untoward about having an attorney in the room. What I think is odd is that the president-elect who won this election, Megyn, you've heard me say this almost every time I've been on since the election day. He won it fair and square. He is the next president of the United States, and congratulations to the campaign for winning. Why is he the only one truly questioning the legitimacy of the election? Why is he saying millions of voters were illegal voters? That just does not make sense to me.
Because 2016. Kat, the man has a point, does he not? Donald Trump may be the first president in U.S. history to question the legitimacy of the election he won.
That's right.
No, absolutely not. Mr. Trump is not questioning the legitimization of the election. He's questioning the popular vote, because that's the one thing the Clinton camp and the left are holding on to with dear life.
Based on
he's
what,
just simply
but
saying,
they're not holding on to it to say she won. But they're not holding on to it to say that she won.
Because they want to do away with the Electoral College now.
Yes, I know, but whatever side loses always says that.
Right.
Where does he get his evidence that millions of illegal immigrants voted in this election, that millions of people voted illegally?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, you can look at the Daily Caller back in October wrote an article about showing what voter fraud looks like, and they listed 23 states and the instances that happened there. You can go back to the LA Times about a year ago, where they talked about Governor Jerry Brown's voter motor registration, which automatically had people
so it's an
register to
assumption.
vote.
It's a supposition
and they
without
said there were
actual
2 million.
proof.
Well, but there have been instances, like in Iowa, there was a woman who was convicted and prosecuted for voting, and she was an illegal alien. These things do happen.
A woman does not equal millions, and millions possible months or a year earlier does not make it actually happen on November 8th.
Right.
Well, I also think that's something we should look at. You know, the argument here is that you can't prove it. Well, how about we disprove it?
Why do you want anyone looking at anything when your team won?
Well, we don't. It's just the point of, if you're going to say something like we won because of X, Mr. Trump is saying, no, you didn't. Look, Mr. Trump won this race.
But he should stick to the facts in doing that. Why isn't it enough for him that he won the Electoral College? Why does he have to make up information that he also won the popular vote, which he lost?
Because people know government is corrupt. It's quite obvious now. America has voted.
No.
They don't trust their politicians. They know the media is not on their side.
But they trust the Electoral College. They trust that, but they don't trust the voting machines that tallied the other votes. I'll give you the last vote, or the last word, Mo.
But in these counties, it matters because of local elections too, and it should be validated.
There were 3 people prosecuted who are Trump supporters for trying to vote more than once. We can sit here and cherry pick isolated incidents, but they are just that. They are isolated incidents. By saying that there were millions of illegal votes, that questions the sanctity of our entire electoral process. That feeds additional, when that comes from the president-elect, not from a candidate, but from the president-elect of the United States. That gives our foreign adversaries.
People who work in these counties that see it every election cycle.
But they don't.
So we can't have it both ways, Katrina. You can't have it both ways. If we're not supposed to have a recount because we're supposed to trust the integrity of the process, then we can't go out there and say millions of people voted illegally. You can't have it both ways.
Well, we'd love a recount. We'd love a recount and win all over again.
That's probably what's going to happen, because Jill Stein is insisting that there be one, and there's no chance she won Wisconsin. Up next, with 2 of Mr. Trump's least favorite newspapers now predicting legal trouble with Mr. Trump's foreign investments,